Well, hello everybody, this is Don with the Vlog of Many Things. Thanks for tuning in to my video this evening. And tonight's video, we are interviewing, well, someone who's pretty well known in the gaming world, Erik Tenkar from Tenkars Tavern. Erik, how you doing?
Well known? All right. People may have heard of me. Maybe.
Okay, maybe they might not have heard about you, so tell you what we'll do. Tell us about yourself and about your vlog, Tenkars Tavern.
Let's see. I don't know. I started blogging during the height of the when blogging in the OSR became a big, huge thing. I stepped into that field with, like, looking at people like James Malasky's Grognardia, Tim Short's Scott's Manor, Conley's Bat in the Attic, Joe the Lawyer's Wondrous Imagining. So, by the way, a lot of these people I still know and game with. And somebody that we both know, I have some fond and unfond memories of, but Vince Florio is actually the one that dragged me kicking and screaming into the idea of podcasting.
Yeah.
And
because you were a just online blogger at the time. You didn't have a YouTube channel or a vlog or anything.
I experimented with a YouTube channel probably close to a decade ago. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Tenkars Tavern,
I'll put the link
down
below.
To the earliest videos, you will see dragon puppet videos. And I think an interview with Zach Glazer. I was putting my toes into it, and then I didn't stick with it. Got dragged into podcasting with Vince. And then after I realized I kind of liked it, I jumped into Anchor, because Anchor was the big thing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple podcasting platform to step into. Now it's owned by Spotify.
Yeah.
And then I started using an app, putting my podcast up on YouTube with a static graphic. And then it's like, why am I doing that? I'll just record myself. So now pretty much the podcast side is in hiatus. I haven't really been sharing stuff on that side. It's all been on YouTube with my wonderful VR background. I know, folks, my head occasionally opens up and you can probably see my brains, but
no worries. I'll put links to both your YouTube channel down below and also your online blog that you have. You're welcome. Now, you're a retired police officer.
20 years in the NYPD.
20 years in the NYPD. Okay. From police officer, and you were IA to boot, weren't you?
I did 6 years as a cop on patrol, 2 years as a sergeant on patrol, and then pretty much my last 12 years supervisor in internal affairs. Yeah.
So that's kind of a weird segue from police officer to gaming vlogger. How and why? What was the how?
Well, honestly, a large part of it was I started to when I came back to gaming. I stepped away from gaming in '97 at the end of the police academy when I lost my weekends off and real life took place. And I was gone from gaming for about 10 years and gradually came back, found gaming via Fantasy Grounds at the time. And when I was dating my wife, Rachel, she would encourage me to get back into gaming. It's a hobby. You enjoy this, and you should really do it. And I was like, you sure? And as I got back into gaming, I realized I had thoughts about the hobby I wanted to share. And since I was already reading a lot of interesting blogs, like I mentioned earlier, I decided, hey, I can do this too.
Yeah.
And initially, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And I
know the feeling.
I had no focus on what I was blogging about. So it was RPGs and Amazon Kindles, because I was excited about the Kindle at the time. So it gradually really focused into OSR and to some extent indie games, but certainly not So I've done some coverage of 5e because I play tested 5e, and it's the big bad boy in the room. But I'm not a huge fan of 5e. So
Now, Tenkar.
where does
I think I
Tenkar?
know why. You've never actually told me why. We've talked a lot. You've
Yeah,
never really told me where you came up with the name, but I think I do. But for everybody listening, where did Tenkar come from?
All right, so Tenkar was when I was running my old 2E campaign, probably back in the late 80s, early 90s, with my regular group. We still gather once a year. One of my players had a dwarven henchman of the name Tenkar. But this character, and I didn't role play the character out. It was a party character, but he became so attached to this dwarven henchman that it became like a party henchman. Even though it was one player's henchman, it really was like the party's.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. So then when I started playing EverQuest, which the first EverQuest 1 or EverQuest Live, whatever they call it now, with my old gaming group, I had a dwarven paladin. I'm like, oh, I'm going to name him Tenkar. Real easy. So once I started with social media, mostly with Google Plus at the time, I was like, I'm a cop. And, using your real last name on social media, everything comes back to you. And not that I plan on doing anything stupid, but sometimes stupidity attaches itself to you through no fault of your own. So I went with Tenkar. The funny thing is, I've also used that as a screen name for bulletin boards, forums in the police sphere, where other cops hang out. And Tenkar, an SP10 car in the NYPD, is the one that gets all the precinct assignments. Like if you call the command with a noise complaint, the SP10. So people in my old profession all assume that my nickname is because I was referencing the 10 car. Even though I don't spell it, I spell it with a K and not a C. But no, the root is in a henchman that was in one of my campaigns that I ran, but really became identified with me for my friends through EverQuest. I was just the first main character I ran.
Now, as an ex-police officer, 20 years NYPD, and you were not like you were not in one of the more glamorous locations in the NYPD. I mean, your beat area was.
Oh, I was the South Bronx. So if you've ever seen the Hose of Hunts Point, and I'm sure it's going to set somebody going to be talking about this, but HBO did two videos back, I guess, in the 90s, the Hose of Hunts Point.
Yep.
The school teacher, I knew. I arrested her one time, but she was I think she put her daughter through college by
prostituting herself.
So that was that would also be known as Fort Apache. So
Fort Apache, the Bronx.
I spent my first 6 months in the 4-2, which was the wasteland, and then went to the 4-1 for the rest of my career as a police officer before getting promoted and going to Harlem. But the hole in the donut, Columbia University.
Okay.
That's where I did patrol as a sergeant.
Now, as a police officer, you probably arrested hundreds of people in your career.
I probably when I was a cop for my first, 4 years, we were a uniform narcotics unit. So and conditions unit. So whatever the condition was, if it was drugs, we were dealing with drugs. If it was prostitution, you're dealing with prostitution. If it was whatever the condition was. So I participated in well over 1,000 arrests. I believe that my actual count for arrests that I actually drew up, didn't just participate in, was like 140. That was over the course of 3 years of enforcement, because my last year and a half or so as a cop, they had me doing crime stats. But by the way, there's a little secret, is that a lot of times when you are on a promotional list as a cop, they take you off of active duty. Like they don't want you getting into trouble.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, hey, computers, you can do maps, right? I'm like, sure, okay. And then you're doing that. So, but I've done a little bit of most everything, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. But being an ex-police officer,
Mhm.
have you ever been? I know you go to a lot of conventions, a lot of things like that. Have you ever been at a gaming convention or another gaming related event and ran into somebody that you cuffed up?
No,
Oh, good deal.
no. The only time I ever had something like that was in Atlantic City with my son's mother, and we're walking through the casino. I think it was the Sands, and this woman looks at me, does a double take, and then starts like doing a jog run out of the casino, and I'm looking, and she's dressed high class but very sexy, like, and then I'm like, and it took me. I went, oh, that's so and so. I arrested her 4 months ago for. I went, oh, now I know why she's running.
Gotcha. She was working.
She was probably, yeah.
Probably saw you and went, "Oh shit, he's undercover."
Yeah, somehow, yeah, I'm undercover in Atlantic City, but yeah, I've got to say that I've had more bumping into in internal affairs. One of my responsibilities at one point was I was the one that had to take people that were suspended with pay and give the official notification that, as per the commissioner, your employment has been terminated. And then I would bump into these people in Manhattan or elsewhere months or years later. And thankfully, the reason why I think I was usually the person, even when it was no longer my responsibility, they still would find me, is because I was empathic. Nobody wants to be told that the career that you thought you had is over and done with. And some people don't have the personality to be able to impart that knowledge with I guess, the proper respect. You need to respect the person that you're dealing with at that time. So, but I've members of the service that I had to be the Grim Reaper to. I've seen years later, and they'd be like, "Oh, Sarge," I'm like, "Oh, no, you still there?" I'm like, "No, retired." "Oh, good for you. All right, well, thank you." And they'll tell me what they're doing in their life now.
Yeah,
which is always good to hear. But yeah, it's most people that there's another, like, you generally don't work in the precinct that you live in, and that's one of the reasons. So in my case, I worked in boroughs in the city that were nowhere near where I lived in. So
gotcha.
I didn't really bump into too many people, unless I bumped into them like when I was off duty in the same precinct, in which case they did just very good at just walking by. So
now you're married. Your wife's Rachel.
Yep.
She a gamer?
She is only a gamer at conventions, although I may change that because she may get dragged into a Call of Cthulhu campaign later on this year.
Ah,
but
nice.
yeah, no. The story with that, real quick, is Joe the lawyer, who does. He has his video channel, and Joe is a game master in a campaign that I'm in.
And he's also on your show quite a bit.
Yes, every other Friday. Joe was supposed to be my first roommate at North Texas back in 2014, I guess.
Ah, okay.
And he couldn't make it. I think he had car problems. He had major bills. So I had a hotel room. I had my ticket, and I had my airfare. So Rachel and I didn't even fly down with seats next to each other because she's like, "Oh, well, listen, come on, I'll go and I'll explore Dallas." No, she played RPGs. She had such a great time that by Friday afternoon, she started telling me, "We're coming back next year. I'm doing this again." And I didn't know Bad Mike at the time, that Bad Mike was standing right behind us.
Now,
Bad Mike say that.
Well, real quick, Bad Mike is the guy who runs North Texas RPG Con.
He's one of the two main guys behind North Texas.
He's also on your show every Friday?
Every Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And he'll pop in on Fridays sometimes too. I joke that Mike's my once a week work spouse because we spend so much time online and even during the week, just talking about the hobby and keeping up on stuff. But yeah, Rach games at conventions, and it used to be that she wasn't comfortable enough playing games where I wasn't in,
Hmm.
and then she started playing in more Rasmussen's top secret games, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll see you in 4 hours. I'm like, all right, well,
Yep.
have fun. And then North Texas has a game for the spouses on Sunday mornings, and
Hmm.
she's always jumping into that and having a great time. So
Nice.
she enjoys it. Is she in the hobby like some of us are, where we're wired in? She knows the stories that are going on. She knows the movers and the shakers.
Hmm.
She knows the events, but she doesn't feel as comfortable playing the games and the rules because she's like, well, I don't always know all the rules, or I can't
Yeah.
always, quickly differentiate between a D20 and a D12 or a D10 and a D8. And I was like, that's okay.
Now,
People just
now,
adjust.
no, go ahead.
No, it's just that people just
Um,
adjust for her. That's
mhm.
all.
Now you have a Wednesday, a Friday, and a Saturday night show, and
Yes.
Rach is involved in your Saturday night show, and you guys actually do something pretty unique. You call it Gamers Health,
Yes.
and you kind of get into, you've been on, you've tackled issues about mental health. You've talked about, how to de-stress. You talked about heart issues. I was on your show for that.
Yep.
What was the impetus of that? I mean, it's kind of something unique for a game vlogger to want to talk about,
Gamers Health.
yeah, health issues with gamers.
Uh,
And
20.
Rachel's a really big part of that.
Yes, she is. So for those that don't know, quick setup with Rach. Rach has albinism, so she is legally blind.
Hmm.
So she has, she burns quickly out in the sun.
Hmm.
Uh, I am a cancer survivor. So
Good for you.
2020, the year of COVID, I was hospitalized a hat trick or a trifecta 3
Hmm.
times. Never had COVID. So figure that one out. Knock on wood, and God bless. But what I did suffer, like my first hospitalization was pneumonia and sepsis, but it was also apparently kicking off congestive heart failure. My
Oh.
second hospitalization was full blown congestive heart failure, where at that point I couldn't walk from one end of the house to the other without being out of breath. Getting upstairs took me less than 10 minutes. I was giving myself applause for feeling better.
Hmm.
It was really really rough. And then my third hospitalization was I passed out at a local pub for outdoor seating. My I told the EMS guys when they came, I was like, listen, I'm sure my blood sugar is low, and I'm dehydrated because I had stomach issues and it was hot. And sure enough, 3 days later, when I'm being let out of the hospital, the cardiologist who insisted it was my heart goes, you know what, your heart's perfect, your heart's doing fine. I go, really? What was my issue? He goes, your issue was dehydration and low blood sugar. So I was like, wow, I knew. However, they did find out that I have a blocked carotid, 100% blocked. That was from radiation. So they do nothing. My body is compensated. So going through all of that, I refer to it as you walk to the precipice and you look down,
Yep.
and you can see how far down that is, and then you realize you've got that choice. You
Hmm.
you can take willful positive actions to improve your chances of living a healthy, longer life, or you can continue on that path that you are on right now, and you're going to walk right off the edge. And
Hmm.
what are you going to do? And it's we're gamers, so we all know we all play with odds in our heads, right? That's the
Yep.
one thing about you're a gamer. Well, if we do this, I think our chances are pretty slim. Let's think of a different plan.
Hmm.
Well, I thought of my chances, and I was like, I have to take this shit very seriously. And Rachel and I discussed it, and I said, listen, if we're going to do this, part of it is keeping ourselves honest, and you keep yourself honest by being public about what you're going through and what
Yep.
you're dealing with. She's like, how do you want to do that? I go, I want to do a live stream. I want to make a regular live stream. We'll talk about these challenges because here's the thing that I always felt is that we joke about gamers and eating Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew and horrible eating habits and gamer funk, and we joke about all this stuff, but the reality is we don't talk about it, we just joke about it.
Yeah.
And to have another gamer, a face that's recognizable, a name that's recognizable, talking about their challenges, their health issues, talk about congestive heart failure, and it's part of my life. I got to deal with it, and I got to
Hmm.
account for it. Means
Yeah.
that, and I'm a cancer survivor in this, and Rach being legally blind, and her other issues means that your issue, even if it's unique to you, it doesn't mean that nobody else will not. Others will not understand what you're going through. That there's not other people that
Yeah.
you can commiserate with or talk with. I mean, the steady group that we have on Saturday nights that shows up really charges my emotional batteries up for the week
Hmm.
because I get to see familiar names and often new names pop in and uh, ask questions or make comments or talk about their own issues. And these might be people who normally don't talk about what's going on in their life. And by talking about it, it becomes real. And it means that maybe you'll look at yourself and say, what can I do to help myself? I mean,
Hmm.
I, I have two cardiologists. One I got through St. Francis Heart, Dr. Shah. He's a heart failure specialist, and yeah, he told me a couple of months after I got out of the hospital, and he's we were talking, and I was talking about actually starting up this cast with Rach, and he's like, he goes, I have years and years of education and advanced education and specialty work, and he goes, you don't have that, but you are making decisions as if you had that knowledge. I go, oh, first off, I research every medication I'm being put on. I like to know what the effects
Yeah.
are myself because we were discussing some of that stuff. But but you are making decisions like I would want the rest of my patients to do. He goes, you're making decisions like I would do, and I have the education. I go, well, part of it is putting faith in God. If I survived 9/11, if I survived cancer, if I survived 3 hospitalizations in 2020 and never got COVID during that time, then there's a reason. And if I can do Gamers Health and help one person change aspects in their life to be on a positive bent and make their life fuller and
Hmm.
get them out of maybe whatever physical or emotional rut they were in and put them on a healthier path, I've accomplished what I needed. I mean, that was my goal as a cop.
Hmm.
Get one life, help that one life, and you've done a good service for 20 years. And I figure if I can do the same with Gamers Health, I'm doing good service.
But you're doing a good service because I'm there every Saturday night,
I love it.
like clockwork, and I love the show. Um, Now you mentioned 9/11, and you were right in the middle of that mess when it happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Do
We responded right to City Hall.
Yeah. Do you attribute any of your current health issues with? I mean, they've called it many things post 9/11 syndrome.
Uh,
Just a lot of bad things happen to a lot of really good men and women. I mean,
right.
you guys are a bunch of heroes out there, and your health issues of today. Can you trace any of that back to the 9/11?
Uh, yeah, my Hodgkin's is 9/11 certified,
Hmm.
and my heart issues. Uh, Part of the cancer treatment for Hodgkin's, which is a cancer of the lymph nodes.
Yep.
I had a hacky sack in the neck and a grapefruit and a baseball in my chest on the other side of my lungs. Um, that was what the chemo was there to bring down. The chemo, one part of the chemo affects your lungs, one part of it affects your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Radiation followed up after the chemo, and with the radiation, as I try to get the camera back in focus, with the radiation, it was pinpoint, but I had those tumors in my chest.
Yep.
I had the tumor in my neck. So the damage to my heart was the equivalent to having had a moderate heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the chemo and radiation. I don't know if I had a heart attack. I don't recall having a heart attack, but the damage from that was from the treatment. When I went through the treatment, I'll be honest with you, when we talked about radiation and the side effects of radiation, I told the radiation doc, I was like, listen, we've got how many years between, because you can have secondary effects in, 10 to 20 years. I go, well, hopefully, medicine improves in the next 10 to 20 years. I will punt the ball and put myself in a better position to deal with it later. So, things fell into place. I am healthier now than before my congestive heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a good sign. Or
yes, it is.
As my doc put it, he goes, if you hadn't had congestive heart failure, it's a very good chance you would have had straight up heart failure and just not woken up one morning.
Gotcha.
Well,
now,
again,
one more question, then we'll get more to the lighter questions. And that is, sadly, there are people online that like, for lack of a better word, they have not learned the magic of what happens to you when you open your mouth to a grown man and you start tossing terms out like Nazis and such. And you have been directly attacked online by a couple of individuals, and they basically called you right wing, a Nazi. I mean, they've really said some really horrible things about your content. And as someone who has watched your content now for going on 2 years, I personally have never seen anything like that. So, and you aren't, obviously, but how do you deal with these type of individuals when they're just being asses to you like this?
First off, I will call them out.
Good.
I'm not going to sit back, especially when they. What really irks me the most is when they say, like, "Oh, Tenkar is problematic," and him and his friends are Nazi sympathizers, because they can't just leave it at me. They got to grab everybody else. And the fact of the matter is, I piss off the right and I piss off the left, and I piss off the right and I piss off the left, because I call balls and strikes regardless of who's at the plate, what team is batting, what my own personal issues might be with somebody. I mean, the example I will give is Zach Smith. I think Zach Smith, on a personal level, is a flaming pile of feces. I want your channel. I'm trying not to curse on.
Oh, you know what? If this is no close to being monetized, and if it was monetized, this video right here been demonetized about 15 minutes ago. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, true. But I really detest Zach on a personal level. My own personal interaction with him. I think he's a vile human being. I would not piss on the man if he was on fire directly in front of me, let alone not walking across the street.
So you don't like him?
Don't like Zach.
I get that slightly out of you.
Okay. So now, will I call him? Will I say that he is somebody who has committed a crime? It's never been charged in criminal court. So I will not be one going out there accusing him of crimes. Will I say that Zach has written with Red and Pleasant Land, probably I used to say one of the top 5 OSR releases. I'm going to say one of the top 5 RPG releases of all time, one of the best works ever. I also think Vornheim is an overrated piece of shit, and he just gave that one a little lob. But Red and Pleasant Land is amazing. My personal opinion of Zach has nothing to do with the work that he produces. Again, I'm calling balls and strikes. And I'm not going to let somebody else's opinion, like, well, Zach is a violent person because of whatever other reasons. I'm sure he is. I
Mhm.
don't need that. I know that from my own personal experience dealing
Yeah.
with him, that he gaslights and everything else that he does. But I can just go from my own personal experience with him. So
See,
I
and
don't
that's
need
something,
to go beyond that.
and that's something I notice about your show. You know, you are very careful when you are critical to make sure that people know that this is my personal opinion. You will say my personal opinion on this, or you'll differentiate it, and that's actually kind of rare with vloggers when they begin getting critical of somebody.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
That's fair.
I can think of you as a piece of shit, but hopefully you've earned me thinking of you that way because of
Hmm.
how we've interacted. I
Yeah.
mean, uh, there are other people that I've interacted with that I think are pretty shitty human beings.
Hmm.
I don't need to name them. I'm sure they can name themselves, and they'll probably going, "He's talking about me." Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Figure
Yeah.
it out. There's a lot of people that will apply to. But if they do good work, if they do good deeds, or God forbid, somebody that I truly detest comes down with cancer, I don't wish cancer on anybody. I've gone
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
You know, I might not like you. I might think you're a shitty human being. It doesn't mean I wish ill on you. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean so. You know, it's amazing that the world is so polarized right now, and it's not just in gaming; it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But you've got the small faction on the left, you get the small faction on the right, and the vast majority in the middle, or can be accused. The moment that you don't fall into step with one side or the other, you're in the middle. You're being called woke and fascist and
Yeah.
left and right, and the vast majority just wants to be left alone.
Hmm.
They don't, and I've heard that the silence is violence. No, violence is violence. Okay,
Yeah.
words aren't violence. Silence is not violence. It sounds great.
Hmm.
It isn't reality. But yes, there are things that people are passionate about. People should be passionate about. I happen to be passionate about gaming. All right, I happen to be passionate about helping people improve their health. That's the
Hmm.
fight that I've decided to take up arms on.
Yeah.
Uh, it, it, it
Well,
frustrates.
there are people out there. I mean, like currently, you are embroiled in a lawsuit with TSR Hobbies slash Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum slash Justin Lanasa.
Good.
You have been very critical of him in your reporting, but
And by the way, when I've talked about TSR, Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, Lanasa,
mhm,
I should say when I was talking about the
mhm,
individual in question, um, I documented, right? I had
yeah,
screenshots.
the receipts.
And that's the thing, folks. Keep receipts.
Yep.
That he said, she said, is fun for movies and TV. It's
Yep.
really not fun in real life.
Yeah.
And listen, there's that happens even beyond this. There are people that have a real, not this individual in question, others that have a real dislike for me, and a lot of times when I find out the latest things going on with somebody who shall remain nameless,
Hmm.
where it's like, well, Tenkar was calling me XYZ, and then I find out about it, I talk about it, and then they reach out to me, well, you called me XYZ, saying, well, according to who? Well, according to this unknown jackass on the internet who said this on Facebook. I go,
Yeah.
I don't even talk about you until you start calling shit about me. So why would this happen? So a lot of that you have to remember too is a
Hmm.
lot of a game of telephone that goes on in the general world and
Yeah.
with gaming.
But the thing is with the whole thing with this is kind of unique because um for a vlogger to be sued
No,
by an individual is actually not very common. And
oh, it's very uncommon.
yeah, and not only that, but you know Lanasa, who's the for just sake of information for people who don't know, Justin Lanasa is the owner and CEO of the new TSR Hobbies 3.0 that was just incorporated or had an LLC filed back, I believe, in late 2020, early 2021. And this guy's went on a rampage against a lot of people.
Right.
You seem to be the centralized target besides him suing Wizards of the Coast. So if you can, what is the current status of what's going on with this suit that he has on you? Because he's just filed bankruptcy, of all things.
Right. So when he filed bankruptcy, there was a letter submitted by his attorney in the Wizards of the Coast case that's an automatic stay.
Mm-hmm.
A form letter, and it just says that this is an automatic stay. I believe the stay is up to a year unless the bankruptcy plays out in less time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the Wizards of the Coast case, the stay was, I guess, reinforced. The stay was accepted by the court because they canceled the further scheduling in that case. When I saw that, obviously, I informed my attorneys what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, there was that letter submitted in my case. Same day. This is all up on Pacer, folks. So if you have a Pacer account, feel free.
Yeah, you're listed actually as one of his creditors now.
Yeah, but for zero because he hasn't. We never countersued, and he hasn't lost anything. But my attorneys submitted a letter to the court asking that we just move forward, that the stay be lifted because we never sued TSR, and if they drop from the suit, that's okay. So whatever.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And I believe that was on the 14th, and tomorrow will be the 26th, so it's almost going to be 2 weeks. Yep. So we shall see what we shall see. My case, like I said, as far as I know, everything's still on the calendar. Everything is still
good deal. So. Well, I always have to ask a few cliche questions.
Oh, geez. All right. I'm getting ready for it.
Okay. What's your favorite game out there right now?
My favorite game out there right now, what I am itching to run, and I almost ordered some props for this on Amazon, is actually Shadow Dark. Now, I'm going to be at ShireCon in September. Tom has been nice enough to have me as a special guest every year.
Nice.
And usually I run one session and I play in a session. I am thinking, and I have to run Swords and Wizardry Light. I run it every year. Players come back with their character sheets and they can level up. It's fun. But I'm also thinking of running a Shadow Dark game and have a couple of 1 hour sand timers going, the hourglass. So I haven't fully decided if I'm going to do that yet, but I'm leaning on 2 sessions. So,
all right. Favorite food?
Favorite food? Oh, geez.
Told you they're gonna be cliche questions.
Yeah, they are, but they're not the easiest questions. All right.
I know.
Because I'm gonna have to say favorite comfort food, pizza.
Okay.
Everybody loves pizza. But favorite guilty pleasure, ice cream cake.
Ice cream cake. Favorite movie?
Generally speaking, The Unforgiven, but The Departed comes up there too, depending on what genre I want to look at.
Gotcha.
They're both really good movies.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this one. What is your favorite convention and why?
Oh, all right. Listen, there's a lot of good conventions, so I'm just going to name the conventions I've gone to.
I'm just saying favorite. I
know, but Gary Con, it's a bucket list. Everybody should go there at least once. Game Hole runs like clockwork. Total Con, if you're on the East Coast, amazing atmosphere, comfort. ShireCon, again, on the East Coast, day and a half now. Tom runs a great game, great campaign. I'm looking forward to going September. Leading up to North Texas RPG Con is my home away from home. It's like coming back to family every year. I
Mhm.
missed it in 2020 because COVID, New York State would not let me back in. But North Texas is where I go to just be amongst my extended family, where nobody cares about politics.
Mhm.
Um, it's in Texas, and you still have a number of people going to the con, like Chanel Jacquez and
Mhm.
so many artists and writers that you're not going to see at other conventions, and you see them at North Texas.
Yep.
So it's just amazing, spot on. And of course, we have a whiskey tasting now as a Thursday night
Mhm.
event.
That was
So
pretty hilarious last time. That was
no,
pretty funny to watch.
no pickle beer, dude. No pickle beer, please.
Yep.
But
All right. Now, when you are preparing for one of your shows,
mhm.
what is the process you go through to figure out what is the subject that you want to cover, and how do you prepare for it?
Well, you actually want to know how the sausage is made, man. That's a dangerous question. Uh,
I'm,
all
I'm
right.
looking
Well,
for pointers. Maybe I can take some notes out of this.
yeah. All right. Well, here, let me come out with the most obvious one: the live streams. All
Hmm.
right, we do 3 live streams a week.
Yeah,
Uh,
and they're live at that. You don't even
we
record.
we don't record. I've spoken with Dan Masters, Professor DM, and he's just like, I can't believe you do so many live streams because you're just waiting to get. Well, a lot of them are demonetized. I don't really worry about it. I'm not in it for the
Hmm.
money. But honestly, for like the Wednesday night live streams, we have a special guest. That's great. If we don't, we
Yep.
wing it. And if we're winging it totally, we just need to know what stupid shit that Witches of the Coast stepped in this week. Which, by the way,
Pretty standard, constant material
yeah,
flowing in there.
yes. So for anybody who thinks that me and or Mike get paid by Wizards of the Coast, watch the Wednesday night live streams.
Yeah,
You will understand that if
you're
they're
not.
paying us, they're not getting that. They should
Yeah,
want a refund and a penalty on us.
that's right.
Fridays are, if it's a random party generator, RPG, go figure that one out. With the large group of us, it literally is a stream of text messages throughout the week with
Hmm.
somebody going, "What are we going to talk about?" And then usually nobody answers that question. So a lot of times it's just really spur of the moment.
Hmm.
Glenn and I, every other Friday, Glenn Hallstrom, yeah, we don't really have topics. We just kind of just jump in.
Hmm.
And Rach and I, throughout the week, starting like on Thursday when we're in the car driving or doing stuff, we're brainstorming. What do we want to talk about? What is the one? A lot of what we talk about on the live stream on Saturday
Hmm.
is feedback from our audience. Sometimes we go off on stuff that we don't plan on going off on, but we usually want to have one specific topic we can spend 10, 15 minutes on. Sometimes if it's technical, Rach will do research and print stuff out. Other stuff, there's stuff that we both do a little reading on, and we don't need notes on.
Hmm.
So the live streams are like that. As for the daily videos, um, if I'm working off of an article,
Mm.
obviously I've read the article, I look at it, and I'll spend some time, minutes, sometimes an hour, just kind of getting my feel for the article, what my thoughts are. There's no script on any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But when I don't have an article, like today, I was winging it because I was asking, the question that I'm often asked is, how do I become a successful small publisher? How do I become a successful vlogger? How do I become a successful
Hmm.
blogger? How do I make content? It's all the same questions on how do I do something that's successful. And I spent a few minutes just trying to think of some main points, and then I just jump into it. And if I don't like it, I will re-record it. I've only edited, I think, 3 episodes
Hmm.
where I actually liked what I did, but had an interruption come in, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to repeat this again. It's never going to be
Yeah.
that good. Let me go in and edit. So when you watch my videos, whether they're live streams or whether they're pre-recorded, they are warts and all essentially live.
Gotcha.
And no script. I
Yep.
I can't stand scripts and casts. It really gets my goat up.
Now, final question. We've been on this now for almost 45 minutes.
And I'll be honest with you, Don. This is like on my live streams when we have a really good guest. It doesn't feel like
flows.
45 minutes. So
Yeah.
I feel like we just started this 10 minutes ago. So
yeah, it's going really well. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man.
Now, thinking of your vlogs, of the type of vlogs you've done, all your work done, is there any one vlog, or is there anything that have happened as a result of one of your vlogs that you're really just especially proud of?
Weirdly enough, and this is just something that it's extremely recent, and it's the one thing that I'm currently proud of. There's other stuff. The gaming stuff doesn't really mean as much. I mean, my OGL coverage I thought was great. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the feedback and discussion. But I've had, I don't know, 7 or 8 people reach out to me, either in the comments or as PMs on social media like Discord or YouTube, from the last Saturday, me putting the banner up for the suicide hotline. Well, I didn't have the suicide hotline up at that point. I had the mental health and drug abuse hotlines up, and I was touched that people reached out and said, "Thank you so much. Nobody does that. There are people in my life that need to see this." Or I took the number down. I called for a friend of mine. That to me means that what we did on Game with Health matters. So I've been, I have the banner. I actually added the suicide hotline. I've had it running on all the videos over the last couple of days. I'm going to keep it going through the end of the month, because little things make a difference, right? I mean,
they do.
You can talk the talk, but when you get feedback like that, one person giving me that feedback is enough to charge me up. You know, it's like 7 or 8 people giving me feedback like that means that it's something that just isn't done. And people, to go step aside for a second, people complain or talk about, oh, people are too monetized and people are getting sponsorships or they're advertising this or advertising that. Nobody's paying me for this, right? Nobody's paying me to put this banner on the bottom of the page, but I'm getting paid for literally with goodwill, and I can't ask for anything better than that. So that would be my answer right now.
Well, your show matters, and I think your show makes a real impact with people. And the work that you and Rachel do on Saturday night with your Gamers Health, I think, is probably, well, it is. I think it's just really, really important work that you both do.
Thank you. I mean, we do. When I say it charges me up for the rest of the week, it does. And I know. Do we occasionally get a troll? Certainly.
Of course you do, occasionally.
Occasionally. Do I have an idea who the troll is? I might, Rabbit. I might. But you know,
it'll be a stretch, wouldn't
it? But I just take amusement out of it. I just feel bad. I feel bad for listeners that are watching live or even later on that they have to deal with that bullshit. But generally speaking, they get the same entertainment value that I do out of it, which is all right. So assholes going to be assholes.
Might as well have fun with it.
Yeah. But no, another thing is if you enjoy doing the process, I enjoy doing the videos. I enjoy doing the live streams. I don't mind the fact that I have 4 nights a week, if you include my Discord hangouts on Thursday nights. I have 4 nights a week that are blocked out for regular activity that people expect me to be a part of. If you asked me when I retired that I would have a schedule that is that rigid in retirement, I'm like, you're out of your mind. I'm going to keep my schedule open. And I enjoy every moment of what I do.
Yeah. Well, it shows.
Thank you.
Well, Erik, thank you for coming on my show. It is very much appreciated. You know, I'm in the baby crawling stages of the vlog of many things, and we'll see just how it goes. But again, I appreciate you coming on, and I'm going to put down below links to your Tenkars Tavern, YouTube, your online website, and also when we're done here, PM me the phone numbers for the suicide hotlines and those various hotlines, and I'll put them down below also in the channel description.
Excellent. I love that. Awesome.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much for tuning in. And this is Don from A Vlog of Many Things. Erik, thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.
And we will be online again. You guys have a good night.
Laters.